Welcome into the Beachside Blitz, where we surf the wave of sports on Cape May Radio, WCFA 101.5 FM, the radio station for the Center of Community Arts, Cape May. I am your host, Patricia Caputo, and I'm super excited to be back here with another episode of the Beachside Blitz. We have a whole lot planned for you on today's show, including where the Philadelphia Phillies stand before All-Star Weekend, an update on the Wildwood Crest sand scoping contest, and later in the show, we will test the sports knowledge of a special guest. So be sure to stay tuned for that. With that, let's get right into our first segment. What's the scoop? Let's start talking about the Wildwood Crest sand scoping contest. The contest was originally scheduled to kick off on June 12th, which was yesterday at 9 a.m. But if you were in Cape May, you likely heard a loud boom, a boom that probably woke you up or shook your whole house. For me, it did both. A huge lightning bolt ran through Cape May. As you probably know, it did strike City Hall. There were a lot of power outages, some issues there. So as a result, Wildwood Crest also felt some of that and did not end up having the sand sculpting contest. That contest was canceled. But after doing some research, looking things up, finding out about this sand sculpting contest, I wanted to give people who might not know about it some familiarity. That this sand scoping contest, it would have been the 12th annual one if it had happened yesterday, despite that huge thunderstorm. And it's quite incredible what these artists, I would call them at least, can do. And I do consider this in the conversation of sport because it takes time and it takes a lot of energy to go out there and to carefully put this together. So Matt Long is the event host for the Wildwood Crest sand scoping contest. And a picture that I saw on Facebook was a gigantic crab that he made strictly out of sand and engraved it with the Wildwood Crest writing on it. So I thought that was quite incredible for him to be able to go out there and do that and to see all the hours that it takes for him to do so. And I just found it kind of amazing to be able to do that because it takes so much time and so much effort. They had huge black carpet, just a black circle, it looked like, around it, just to make sure that they can fill all the sand with it and have these huge crabs in there. So it was quite impressive what they were able to do. But it seems that they have accomplished that goal. Unfortunately, they will not have the contest for the rest of the year. It was canceled. It will not be rescheduled. It was supposed to be a very fun event with live music and a magician for the kids, but that is no longer happening. So with that being said, now that we have that sand scoping contest squared away, let's jump right into Philadelphia Phillies sports. The Philadelphia Phillies swept the Dodgers this week. They won on Tuesday 10-1, then again on Wednesday 4-3, and Thursday 5-1. This shows a lot for the Philadelphia Phillies that they were able to win this game because a lot of people were saying that they can't beat the big teams. They can't go out there and defeat teams like the Dodgers. Is this the best Philadelphia Phillies team that we have seen? And I think that this might be one of the best teams that they have seen. To go out there and to prove that they can beat the Dodgers, that showed a lot because they won in multiple different ways by getting killed the first night on Tuesday, 10-1. And then Wednesday, 4-3, coming back, what was a closer win, being able to get away with it. And then again, Thursday, 5-1. It showed all aspects. And all while that was happening, they suffered a few injuries as well. Wheeler was injured during the game. Rojas was injured during the game. And then Saturday, that both happened on Saturday. So all of that goes to show that the Philadelphia Phillies are working through injuries, that they're able to prove that they can still win games despite players getting injured and things of that nature. With that, I went out to WIP, the radio station in Philadelphia, in May. I had the opportunity to shadow them for a day. And their big question that day was, is this an all-time great Philly team? Is this team able to come out there and be one of the best to ever do it? I think this might be a yes, as of what the Dodgers were able to do out there and how they were able to go out there and they were able to win games, the Philadelphia Phillies were able to win games against the Dodgers. So WIP was like, is this the best great Phillies team? Can this team go down history? And if they don't win a World Series, can this team still be considered one of the greatest teams? Now that's up for debate because truth be told, when you don't win, you get forgotten about. And while that is quite far away, I think this Dodgers series showed a lot because so many people were saying this team is playing what some may say cupcake teams right now. The team's records aren't as good. They're winning games. But when you're, for me, as just a baseball fan, when you're able to go out there and some of your best players, so to speak, are hurt, have to miss a few games here and there, and you're still able to win baseball games against some of the best teams in baseball, that proves to me that you're a great team and that you can go down in history and be a great team. They won the series against the Braves. Again, another team that's in the running that you might see in the playoffs again. They're able to show that they can do this. Now, with all of that, did they lose to the A's last night? Yes, they did. But they lost 6-2 to the A's, despite Suarez on the mound. Not his best outing. He allowed 6 hits, 4 errors, 3 walks, but did have 6 strikeouts in those 6 innings that he pitched. But when you're the Philadelphia Phillies, possibly you can afford to lose a game here and there to a team that's 36-60 when you're 61-33. So that was a quick recap if you didn't get to watch some Philadelphia Phillies baseball. But my next question here is, if you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan, you're probably not going to want to hear this. But let's talk about the New York Yankees. So on the north side of Jersey, those fans are not so happy. SportsCenter, when I was watching on Wednesday morning, referred to them as the Stankies earlier this week. Yeah, if you're a Yankees fan, that had to be a tough pill to swallow because it was said multiple times in the span of 15 seconds, but they weren't wrong. And even though that's sad to say, they haven't won a series. The New York Yankees have not won a series in a month. And we're possibly seeing one of the best Yankees teams. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Stanton maybe when he's healthy, even though he's a little older now. Garrett Cole. All of these players, you hear their names and they ring a bell. Yes, those are great players right now in the MLB, but their health is an issue. The Yankees do this every year. I always say that the best time to go to a game is in May. If you're a Yankees fan, the best time is to go in May. I went May this year, best decision ever. I went May 2 years ago, another great decision because that's when they're at their best. That's when they're playing baseball at their best. And then all of a sudden, it seems that they always seem to fall off during the summer. They have a rough road, whether it's June, whether it's July, and they can't win games, and everybody's getting hurt. Now Jose Trevino, he's hurt. He's on the IL for at least 10 days. The list goes on and on for the New York Yankees. That's why I'm comparing them to the Philadelphia Phillies, because the Phillies, players are getting hurt. Harper was hurt for a little bit. They're still winning baseball games. The Yankees, everyone's going on IL. Rice is a rookie, and he's already hitting at the top of the lineup. He's their best player, and you're relying on Ben Rice to win baseball games. When again, you have guys like Juan Soto and Aaron Judge in that lineup just like Ben Rice. And Ben Rice, the amount of pressure that has been put on the young rookie, that's not New York Yankees baseball. So, while a lot of people might not agree with me, I think the best thing for the New York Yankees is for the Philadelphia Phillies to win the World Series. And the only thing that can make that better is if the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Yankees themselves in the World Series. Because you look at New York sports as a whole, nobody's really winning. You had the Rangers, they made it far this year, but again, if you're a Rangers fan, kind of the same thing. Get your hopes up, but you can't win it all. You had the Knicks, again, hopes up. They're getting there. They're a younger team, so give them some credit, but they just haven't won in a while. The Nets, everybody knows what happened. The big three was a bust. The New York Giants, the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. The Giants haven't been good in years. Who does New York have right now? They need a winner. And right now, New York needs a wake-up call. The Yankees specifically need a wake-up call. They won in 2009. The Phillies won in 2008. If the Philadelphia Phillies win a World Series, I think there will be a lot of pressure on New York sports. You had the Eagles win a Super Bowl not too long ago. Now you need the Phillies. They've been there. They've been knocking on the door. Now they have to get in. And you look at the New York Yankees, and you know the history. You know Yogi Berra and Babe Ruth and all the World Series. How many more greats can I miss? Mantle, Ruth, all of them have gone out there. Gehrig, I'm just thinking of them as we go, have gone out there, have won World Series, have become legends for the New York Yankees. And someone like Aaron Judge, you got to go out there and win a World Series. If you want to be a part of that great Derek Jeter, one of the more recent greats, if you want to be a part of that group, you have to go out there and win. But that's not New York's mentality right now. The biggest question should not be, who are they going to sign Juan Soto? The biggest question could be, can they win a World Series right now with Juan Soto so they don't have to worry about that? But they haven't been able to do that. So if the Philadelphia Phillies keep this up and they remain one of the best in baseball, they get it together this weekend against the A's, they can win the series, they walk away with another series win, they head into All-Star weekend, and then they keep up the momentum. Sometimes that's the most difficult part. When you head into an All-Star weekend and you get to rest a little bit, or your guys are playing in a different dynamic because the Phillies have so many players in the World Series, or in the All-Star game rather, this weekend. If you can go in there, you can keep the momentum up, and you win the World Series, not only, obviously, are Philly fans happy, not only is it a great historic win for your city, because you're going out there with what could be possibly the best Philadelphia Phillies team that anybody's seen in a very long time, but the New York Yankees, hello, time to wake up, time to win a World Series. Your foes in the tri-state area have done it. The Nationals have done it. The Phillies have done it. If that happens, they got to go out there and say, when is it us? When are we going to end this drought that has been a long time coming? When is Ben Rice not going to be the guy that everyone's going to rely on to win baseball games anymore? That has to end. So I think that I know it's crazy. I know Philly fans don't want to hear it. But if you're a New York Yankee fan, maybe, just maybe, you need the Philadelphia Phillies to win a World Series for the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge and Juan Soto and, even Ben Rice to come out here and say, hey, we got to pull this together. We got to come out here, and now we have to win. Just think about it, because you don't want to be called the Stankies on national television once again. Moving on, let's talk about soccer. So if you haven't heard already, Lamine Yamal is just 16 years old, and he is the youngest soccer player to ever score in a European Championship game. He's 16 years old. He plays for Spain. Today is his 17th birthday. So he turned 17 on July 13th. He was born July 13th, 2007. He was talking about his birthday, what his plans were to do, and he plans to celebrate his birthday in Germany with his teammates. So hopefully he's doing that today. Just a little background on how iconic it is for him to become the youngest soccer player to ever score. The second player to do that, or the last player to do that rather, was from Swiss, Johan van Thielen. He was 18 years old and 141 days old. So that means Yamal beat him by 2 years in order to score the first ever that goal in the European Championship game as a 16-year-old. So like I had mentioned, today was his birthday. He was born on July 13th, 2007. I want to put this into perspective of how truly young he really is. The first iPhone came out before Yamal was even born. The first iPhone came out on June 29th, 2007. Are we on iPhone 14, maybe 15 at this point? I believe it's 15. June 29th, 2007 was when the first iPhone came out. A few weeks later, Yamal would be born on July 13th, 2007. One more to put it into perspective. Yamal is 2 years younger than YouTube. The thing that all kids go on, the things that I watch in the morning to stay updated on all this sports news, he's 2 years younger than that. YouTube made its debut on February 14th, 2005. Also, when Yamal was born, or at least the year that Yamal was born, Irreplaceable by Beyonce was the trending song. So truthfully, a lot of people might say, well, that was a long time ago. Yes, I understand. That was 17 years ago. It's hard to believe that 2007 was already that long ago. But it goes to show that he is that young. And we're going to see that in just a few weeks with Olympians as well, with how young they are, being 16, 17 years old. I believe Gabby Douglas, when she appeared in her first Olympics, she was just 16 years old rather. So it really goes to show that young kids are making a difference for their professional team and all the pressure that goes on them. I mean, we were talking about Ben Rice being a rookie with the Yankees. Imagine how Yamal feels. Imagine how Gabby Douglas felt. and everyone that we're going to see in the Olympics in just a few weeks, and all the pressure that's on them and how they've handled it beautifully. It's truthfully amazing. Again, somebody like Yamal coming in, being able to score, win for his team, and just be truthfully as young as he is. Let's keep on the topic of talking about some younger people. So the ESPYs were this weekend, and a lot of rookies in the NBA, the WNBA, and the NFL really took away the show. First off being Jaden Daniels, who won Male College Athlete. You know Jaden Daniels, you know he will now be the starting quarterback, most likely, of the Washington Commanders. So Jaden Daniels was drafted in the NFL after a historic season at LSU. He took away the Male College Athlete Award. And also, on the other side, in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark won record-breaking performance. Now, all of that comes from her time at Iowa when she went on to defeat Pete Maravich's record, and she became the all-time leading scorer in both men's and women's college basketball. So that just goes to show that rookies are making a difference. Right now, Caitlin Clark is the only one who's playing during the season, during her regular season. Jaden Daniels' regular season debut will come in September. But moving on to someone who is a little bit more seasoned with that ESPY award, Scottie Scheffler won Best Golfer. Scottie Scheffler has just had a whirlwind of emotions gone through him these last few months. He was arrested during one of the golf tournaments, and it was a huge misunderstanding that was said. They're still working through that. And then he went on to win a few tournaments. He's been golfing just like usual after all of that. But also, if you didn't know, he was originally born in Ridgewood, New Jersey. His family ended up moving to Texas when he was young, but I wanted to throw that in there, that Scottie Scheffler won Best Golfer for the ESPYs because he's a Jersey boy. So once a Jersey boy, always a Jersey boy. That wraps it up for What's the Scoop. Let's move on to Coastal Countdown. So I promised we were going to talk a little bit about All-Star Weekend, and there are a ton of Philadelphia Phillies who will be competing in this All-Star Weekend. To start it off, we got Wheeler, Suarez, Bohm, Harper, Turner, Jeff Hoffman, Matt Strawman. So a lot of Phillies that are coming in and will be competing in this All-Star Weekend. Along with that, you'll have Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is a former LSU baseball player. He will be starting in this All-Star game as a rookie. The Pirates took him out on Thursday in the 7th inning, despite throwing a no-hitter. So yes, he'll be competing in this All-Star game this weekend. That's great. But I did want to mention that was quite surprising. There were a few people who I know stopped me in my tracks. We talk about sports a lot and said, can you believe they took Paul Skeens out in the 7th after he's throwing a no-hitter? You wouldn't want to try to get him to complete the game. And what I say every time when this happens is that if this was 20 years ago, that never would have happened. There's no way. At least I know, as someone like me, maybe I know I'm not a professional, but as someone who's as competitive as me, you never could take me out of that game. But there's so much analytics that go into it today. He has to go out there and pitch an All-Star Weekend, and sometimes I wonder if that had any effect on it. That was the effect at all on Paul Skeens, that, hey, he's going to be pitching for this All-Star Weekend, and we have to make sure that he stays healthy because of ratings, because of other things that are happening, because of the money aspect that's happening. Despite that, the Pirates did end up winning. They won 1-0 against the Brewers. But again, if I was Paul Skeens, though he's had a great few months, really historic, but if I was Paul Skeens, I would have wanted to make more history, and I would not have let them take me out in the 7th. But Paul Skeens, let's talk about the last few months that he has been quite incredible. On May 5th, he was playing baseball at the AAA level in Indianapolis. Now we're in mid-July. He's an all-star starter. During that time, he also began dating Livy Dunn, who is a famous gymnast who goes to LSU. She's originally from New Jersey as well. Very popular on social media. Prior to that, last June, he became a World Series champion at the college level and then was drafted 2nd overall in the MLB. He's had a year. And again, like we had mentioned, now he will be the NL starter, the National League starter. And this is great. I mentioned the ratings before. And if there was a possibility that they wanted to save his arm in any way, which again, I don't think that should have any effect on it, But if it did at all, because they wanted him ready for the All-Star weekend, I wouldn't be surprised, because he'll be going up against guys like Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Gunnar Henderson, Yordan Alvarez. That could be incredible, knowing that Paul Skeens goes out there, he throws 99 to 101 at some points. And then you're going up against some of the best hitters in baseball. And not to mention the home run derby as well. Alec Bohm will be competing in the home run derby. He has 11 home runs in the season. Bobby Witt Jr., 16. Teoscar Hernandez, 19. Garcia, Mr. El Bombe, has 17. And then Judge, who will not be competing, has a few more than them, 33, 34. So it's a little bit different. But I think with Alec Bohm coming in, I was going to make a prediction of who might be able to win this home run derby that will be happening on Monday, July 15th at 8 p.m. And as much as a lot of Philly fans, I get it. I can't be biased here. I don't think Alec Bohm is going to take this one away. I think Garcia is going to have this in the bag. He does it, and he does it just purely amazing every time. They call him El Bombe for a reason, so I think he's going to win that home run derby. But as we wrap up All-Star Weekend, I was looking up that, or All-Star Week, as I should call it, since it will start, well, no, today's Saturday. It starts today, and then we'll go until Tuesday. But tonight, they will have the celebrity softball game. And there has been celebrities left and right. Snoop Dogg has appeared before. Bill Nye, the Science Guy, has appeared in this celebrity softball game. And as I was looking up, there will be some really fun celebrities in this. So you have Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, as they call him now, Prime Time, as he used to be called, head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, former MLB player. What I find interesting about Deion Sanders playing is that he's been through it the last few years. He had 2 of his toes cut off due to blood clots. So I'm intrigued to see the difference of how he will play now versus how he will play, or how he used to play in the MLB. When I was told is that I had talked with a few Jackson State football players a few years back when Deion Sanders was still the coach there. And that was one of the questions I asked him was, how's his foot? How's his toe? I know that he's been in and out of the hospital. And they said, he has a limp. He definitely limps, and he really plays it off well when he's out in public. So I think it will be interesting to see how Deion Sanders plays in this celebrity softball game. Also with that, I love the aspect of having other former NFL stars, former NBA and current NBA stars. So Terrell Owens is going to be there. He's another character too. Get your popcorn ready. He'll be at that celebrity softball game. What I enjoyed about this is that Tyrese Maxey of the 76ers will be starting in this All-Star game as well. And that would be awesome. And it really just took me to say, okay, you have the celebrity softball game. Tyrese Maxey, Dez Bryant, former Cowboys wide receiver, will be there. Tiffany Haddish, a comedian, will be playing. It would be cool if the NFL did something like this with flag football. The NBA does something like this, but it would be just awesome if somebody like LeBron James really got to live out his dream of being that football player, because he was like, yeah, I was kind of choosing, but basketball was always my thing, but he did play football for a little bit. And there's always this question that kind of surrounds social media and some meme pages of, what if LeBron wanted to play football? And if the NFL did something like that, I think that could be quite incredible, that somebody like LeBron James has the opportunity to play football, or even how you've seen so many guys choose between baseball and between football, like Kyler Murray, for example. They need to bring out guys like that. That's what I would like. I would love to see Russell Wilson, Tim Tebow, Kyler Murray, all of them in their prime, going out there playing in perhaps a flag football game for the NFL, but then also playing an All-Star weekend for the MLB. So that really gives you a rundown of All-Star Weekend and a little bit of the fun that is happening. Again, just to mention a few more stars that will be there. Kane Brown, country music star, will be participating in All-Star Weekend. Pedro Martinez, an MLB Hall of Famer, will be competing in All-Star Weekend. I just love the mix that's happening here, and I think this could be a very fun game. And again, just having so many competitive minds out there, guys who were former athletes, former NFL stars, former MLB stars themselves, to be able to come out there and to play an All-Star weekend, it's going to be a very exciting weekend for them. Moving on very quickly, let's touch a little bit on the WNBA. So while Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have gotten a lot of attention, their teams aren't as great as everyone seems to be hyped up. If you watch the WNBA, they've won 9-10 games each of their teams. But let's talk about the Connecticut Sun. At one point in the season, when the attention was not on them, the Connecticut Sun were sitting at 9-0. They were the best team in the league. And right now, they could really use a win because the Liberty just won their 20th game this afternoon. They played at 1 p.m. So they have now won 20 games this season. The Suns sit at 17-5. So take that first spot. Again, the Connecticut Suns, come on, get up there. They need to win that game that they'll have tonight. So the Suns could have a good game, but also the Sky, they were the ones who played the Liberty today. The Liberty won against that. Angel Reese, despite all of this, despite her team not having the best season, she has been having a historic season. Angel Reese has recorded 16 double-doubles in her first 22 games. She did something very similar while at LSU, was able to go out there, have a double-double almost every game during her last season at LSU. But I found this interesting because the last person to do that was someone who she considers a family member. So like I mentioned, Angel Reese recorded 16 double-doubles in her first 22 career games. The last player to do that in the WNBA or the NBA was Shaquille O'Neal, who she considers her uncle, in 1993. So again, while the Sky and Caitlin Clark and her team have not had the best season, both Clark and Reese are really showing up and showing out for the WNBA. But like I said, so are the Connecticut Sun, who will play tomorrow at 1 p.m. against the Mercury as they look for their 18th win to try to catch up with the Liberty. We'll be back very shortly with the Beachside Blitz. Coming up on the Beachside Blitz, the social scoreboard, screenplay showdowns, and like I mentioned earlier in the show, we'll have a special guest on to test their sports knowledge. We'll be right back after these messages. Support for Cape May Radio WCFA 101.5 FM and the Center for Community Arts comes from Art Depot, a retail store and workshop offering reusable art supplies and classes for people of all ages who want to explore their creativity. Art Depot located at 1301 Bayshore Road, Villas, New Jersey. Support for Cape May Radio WCFA 101.5 FM and the Center for Community Arts comes from Cape May Convention Hall, a performing arts venue for up to 1,000 people and seminars, weddings, and banquets for up to 600 people. For more information, contact the City of Cape May at 609-884-9536. You are listening to Cape May Radio WCFA 101.5 FM, the station for the Center for Community Arts, Cape May. Welcome back to the Beachside Blitz, where we surf the wave of sports on Cape May Radio WCFA 101.5 FM, the station for the Center of Community Arts, Cape May. Like I mentioned before, I'm your host, Patricia Caputo, and I'm excited to get back into the second half of the show. We're going to kick it off with the segment we have every week on the show called Social Scoreboard. Christian McCaffrey, NFL star running back, recently got married to Olivia Kuplo. Christian McCaffrey got married, but did not invite his former quarterback, Cam Newton. Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton played for many years together on the Carolina Panthers, which was great for me, at least when I was a fantasy football fan, because I had Christian McCaffrey on my fantasy football team, and I loved him because Cam always handed the ball off to him, at least later in his career. When the throws weren't as accurate, he could rely on Mr. Reliable Christian McCaffrey. But Cam Newton clapped back because Christian McCaffrey did not invite him. Apparently, he didn't get an invite, and Cam appeared to be very upset when he was featured on a podcast. But Christian McCaffrey made it very clear on social media that Cam Newton had not answered his text in 4 years and had just DM'd him one time in those 4 years. In fact, it was such a big conversation of topic. At his own wedding, he spoke with his former tight end, Greg Olsen, who also played with Cam Newton for a long period of time. And they talked about this at Christian McCaffrey's wedding, that, I don't know why Cam Newton won't answer my DMs. So as always, let's take it to social media and see what they had to say about this. So on X, at Professor Prep said, maybe he shouldn't have thrown him on screen passes 90% of the time. Let me say that again. Maybe he shouldn't have overthrown him on screen passes 90% of the time. Now, while that is a statement that, again, like I had mentioned, he tended to just kind of hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey every once in a while when the passes weren't as accurate. Again, I loved it. It was great for me. Helped me win a fantasy football championship. But with that, I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I think Christian McCaffrey was being real. That, hey, Cam Newton hasn't answered me. But maybe them not answering each other did have something a little bit to do with football and how they just grow apart. And now there's Brock Purdy now. So that came in at number 1. So that was at Professor Preps. Let's go to what I ranked number 2. At Sean Kemp said, peak Cam Newton energy. He's the only one that could get away with inviting himself to a wedding that already happened. That's exactly what Cam Newton did when he found out that Christian McCaffrey got married. He said, I wish you could have invited me. I would have at least wanted to say no to not coming to the wedding, or I would at least want to send you a present. He was not able to do any of that because he claimed he had no clue about the wedding and found out via Instagram after his girlfriend showed him Olivia's 4 outfits that she wore during the wedding. With that coming in at number 3, at Wins Lombardi on X said, fun fact, Cam was the first draft call in 2011 and Brock the last in 2022. Both have mutated into the complete opposite. Brock Purdy was the last draft pick in his 2022 class. Cam Newton first in 2011. That was strictly facts-based there. Christian McCaffrey has played with both of them. And Christian McCaffrey, traded to the 49ers, have done quite an amazing job there. Has scored scored a touchdown at one point in the season in almost every single game in the season. And that's with the help of Brock Purdy, a very young quarterback, a quarterback that nobody really thought was going to be able to do what he did. At one point, the 49ers said, what do you do when your best quarterback is your third string quarterback? You don't see that all the time. But definitely not. Cam Newton has been waiting. I think he's still waiting to see if he can make one more effort into the NFL, but it seemed that it has passed when the Panthers tried to re-sign him and see if he could win games for them. It just didn't happen. So Cam Newton, while your feelings might be hurt, it looks like Christian McCaffrey had a great wedding and was able to go out there, get married. And you were mentioned, Cam. You were mentioned at the wedding, and Twitter, or X rather, had a lot to say about it. So that wraps things up for social scoreboards. Let's move on. Let's continue talking about the NFL, but not running backs, not quarterbacks. Let's talk about receivers. We're moving on to our next segment, Screenplay Showdowns. So the new show came out on Netflix called Receiver this weekend. It features some of the top wide receivers in the league, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, Davante Adams, and tight end George Kittle. Hence the name receiver, not wide receiver. Anyway, what shocked me the most, while I have not watched every episode, I loved how open and honest Davante Adams was. I watched 2 episodes, but what really shocked me was the little clips that I was able to see of Davante Adams going out there and saying, oh yeah, we had to bench Jimmy Garoppolo. And that was one of the reasons why he said I might have been able to leave. He goes, I could have left had they not have benched Jimmy Garoppolo. And for him to go out there and just say that, there is so many, just do it the PR way. Just go out there and say it was a team decision and that everyone was doing what's in the best interest for the team and that you had nothing to do with it. Not Davante Adams. He was open. He was honest. There was a point in the show where he said, I'm going to lose my life if I stay here, because he felt that passes were getting overthrown, that he was taking so many hits, because Jimmy Garoppolo was not throwing accurately to him. It was so bad they put in A.J. O'Connell because Jimmy Garoppolo just was not it. And this is the same Jimmy Garoppolo. At one point, the rumors were spreading that he thought he was better than Tom Brady, and that was why he had to get traded. Because Tom Brady said, you're not better than me. But he was convinced. And I understand. That's a hard topic, because I do believe that if you are an athlete, you have to go out there and you have to think you're the best. But for a wide receiver as great as Davante Adams to come out and say, he has to get benched, and that was one of the reasons that if he had not gotten benched, I don't think I would have been able to stay in Oakland. It has a lot. And it seems that this has been an ongoing issue for the Oakland Raiders. Anytime they're in any reality TV show, drama just seems to follow them. If you remember on Hard Knocks, Antonio Brown just a few years ago, Hard Knocks took us through some of that journey of everything Antonio Brown was dealing with. Some of the wild moments that had occurred between him and the general manager and the head coach at the time for the Oakland Raiders, along with everything that was happening with his foot when I believe he had to freeze it at some point. Hard Knocks took us through that. So I love how receivers really doing a deep dive into Davante Adams' life, but also his feelings on what was a very tough season, on truthfully what has been a very tough couple of years for the Raiders. I'm sorry, I keep saying Oakland, for the Las Vegas Raiders, rather. Also with Amon-Ra St. Brown coming in, I had known this before, but it was awesome to see it live, or not live, but on TV, that he is very talented, not only on the football field, but also can speak 2 languages. His mom is from Germany and can speak fluent in German. And all they did as parents is that the dad spoke English to them. The mom spoke to them in German. He said before they went to school, every day he had to learn 10 vocabulary words in German. And that's when he was able to get out of the car and go to school. And after school, before they went to bed as well. At one point, just to talk about the mentality of football players, Amon-Ra St. Brown said that he was out with his dad. They saw a really great wide receiver, young kid at a combine when he was younger. And the dad went up to the other kid's dad and said, hey, how does your son this good? And he says, well, he catches 200 balls a day from the machine. So Amon-Ra St. Brown to this day catches 202 balls from the machine, footballs from the machine every day, because he wants to go out there and show that he is the best and can be the best. And part of that is, which you might have known if you keep up with football, Amon-Ra St. Brown can list all 16 receivers that were drafted before him. And he can list their colleges as well. And he has done it before. I believe he did it with Bleacher Report one time when they sat down and talked with him. But he also did it on the show, and that he reads that every single day to motivate him. That there's always these little motivations that we're learning that football players have, that baseball players have, all the superstitions. For Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's reading every single day the 16 wide receivers that were drafted before him, memorizing that. Along with that, having his goals out there. And the last thing, the couple of things I took from this was Jay Jetta's. It happened this last season, rather, when he threw his necklace that was worth thousands of dollars off of the football field, because it was a very important play. He got the first down. They were running out of time. The Vikings didn't have a timeout. And I just remember a lot of people going on social media saying, wow, I wish I had that much money that I can go out there and I could throw my chain and just toss it and not know where it went. But he had explained in the show, which was great for the clear up, that he had mentioned he doesn't spend a lot of money on flashy things. But when he does like jewelry. So he said, I wasn't worried about that at all. I was worried about winning the football game. So again, it's like that mentality of I'm competitive and I want to win and I don't care. And he just said, yes, I remember my chain falling off and I just remember throwing it. And I didn't want it back. I wanted to win that football game. Which again, I just love the fact that we live in this world where you do have some reality shows like this, such as Receiver, where things like that can be cleared up. And lastly, not to get into any drama or rumors, but Aaron Rodgers this week was asked about Davante Adams with the Raiders and the Jets possibly facing each other. Aaron Rodgers said that he can't wait to play with his former wideout Davante Adams. ... again. So while we had talked about Jimmy Garoppolo getting benched and Davante Adams heavily weighing on that decision, Aaron Rodgers is trying to spark up some rumors while he's on a golf course and say, yeah, I obviously cannot wait to play with Davante Adams again. With that being said, let's get into the Throwback Thrills, the next segment. Throwback Thrills of July 13th. July 13th, 1934. Babe Ruth hit his 700th career home run against the Tigers. That's just a little fun fact there. Then also in 2021, Kawhi Leonard underwent ACL surgery to repair a slight tear in his right knee. And why I mention this, because this is not fun, not a fun fact. Why I mention this is because Kawhi Leonard was sent home earlier this week from the Olympics USA basketball team. Everyone on the Olympics team said this was the best interest of both parties. Kawhi Leonard suffered from right knee inflammation earlier this season, and that it was time for him to go home, which again is not something that you see when you have somebody who is as talented as Kawhi Leonard, who is a champion like Kawhi Leonard. And USA Basketball needs to win. They haven't. 1992 was the first time that they were able to go out there. It was the first time that 1992 Olympics was the first time they allowed professional NBA players to go out there and to play in the Olympics, and they have dominated, but that didn't happen 4 years ago as much. Now this year, somebody like LeBron James is playing. As old as he is, he's still playing. Giannis is not playing for the USA, but he'll still be in the Olympics. You have someone like Kawhi Leonard out there. Now he won't be there. So 2021, goes to show that knee injuries do take a long time to heal, and sometimes you're just not 100% to compete in athletics that are outside of your sport, such as the Olympics, as Kawhi Leonard has been sent home with right knee inflammation or something along those lines that he suffered earlier this season, now dealing with the same thing as he tried to compete for the Olympics. Coming up now, we have a special guest on. So this is I'm very excited to announce. I'm very excited to announce that my sister, Sophia Caputo, will be joining us on the show right now for a Trivia Timeout. Trivia Timeout is a segment that we've had for a while now. We've been able to talk about for the last few weeks, is where I just ask whoever is on, who is a guest, a few questions, typically about their specialty. When Betty Harshaw was on, I asked her about marbles. When Julian Jackson was on, I asked him a little bit about track and field and a tiny bit about the Olympics, which may have thrown him a little bit. But Sophia is a little bit different because Sophia doesn't know anything pretty much about sports. Now let me set this straight. She knows a little bit. Sophia, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm very excited about that.
I'm so happy to have you on. So tell the listeners what you do know about sports and your background in sports.
So in high school, courtesy of Patricia, I was a football manager as well as a baseball manager. So worked on the books, did the pitch count, and then for football I just filmed. So I have general knowledge about sports games. I know what's going on. I know what a flag is. I understand the basic concepts. But once you start getting into the players and certain things about the season, current news, you lost me. I'm in a different world.
And as an example of this, last night we were talking about Justin Jefferson and how he gets paid the same amount as Jordan Poole. Both of them signed $140 million 4-year contracts, and they get paid the same. Whereas Justin Jefferson, I would say, is a much better athlete in his sport than somebody like Jordan Poole. But that's just the way things go. So when we're talking about this, I'm in absolute awe. How could Justin Jefferson get paid the same amount as Jordan Poole, this and that? And Sophia, I said, do you understand how good Justin Jefferson is? And she said, no, I don't keep up with basketball. And if you're unaware, like we were just talking about, Justin Jefferson was in the show wide receiver, as in that, wide receiver for the NFL, not for the NBA. So, Sophia, I'm glad you came on here today, because now that we've settled in and we know that you have this basic sports knowledge, I am going to ask you some questions about Philadelphia sports, and I want to see if you can answer them.
I'm ready.
So I'm starting off with what I would say might be an easy one, because I expect you to know this. You're on my fantasy team, all right?
Oh, okay.
What team did running back Saquon Barkley, former Penn State running back, Sophia goes to Penn State, what team did running back Saquon Barkley sign with this offseason?
I know he was on the Giants. I am aware that he was previously on the Giants, and I thought he was still on the Giants, so this is a great question.
Any guesses?
I'm gonna say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, no. I tried to give you a hint with saying we're talking about Philadelphia sports teams, but I guess that didn't work.
With the Eagles?
He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles.
No way.
The Giants didn't even offer him.
I thought when you said easy question, it was going to be like what team was Saquon Barkley on, and I was going to say the New York Giants. I had no idea he switched.
I tried to give it to you when I said we're talking about Philadelphia sports.
I appreciate the hint.
Hey, but it's okay. That's all right. Because guess what? I think you're going to know this one. Because we talked about it recently. I think you're going to know it. I hope you remember. When the 76ers traded away Ben Simmons to the Nets, who did they get? Who was one of the players they got in return? We talked about it last night.
Oh,
I think you know. I think you have an idea.
it's the guy with the beard.
Yeah, the beard. Okay, I'll give you that. That's his yes. That's his nickname. His nickname is the beard. So I'll give you that. Yes, James Harden on the 76ers. I expect you to know this next one because Sophia I am. But hey, you're 1 for 1 right now. But why I'm saying is because at one point in her sports career, Sophia was a 76ers fan.
I feel like I still am.
Yes, I think you still consider yourself a 76ers fan, but you were active. I think you watched some games. You kept up a tiny bit. You at least knew the basics. So, is Jimmy Butler still in the 76ers?
No.
Correct. See, I knew you would know that one.
I do know that.
I should have started with that one. No, he is no longer on the 76ers. All right, let's start. Fourth question, somebody else who is no longer on the 76ers but was a great, Allen Iverson. You know about him.
Yes.
All right, this is a little bit of a harder one. So I understand if you struggle with it a little bit. But Allen Iverson, if you know a little bit about his story, the answer, right, for the 76ers, had a thing for spending money. Wasn't the best at financial planning. But thankfully, Reebok, who he signed a sneaker deal with, is and was. So Allen Iverson will receive a $32 million trust fund from Reebok at what age? He is 51 or 52 now. I'll have to check on his age. But in the next few years, he will receive $32 million from Reebok. Do you know at what age?
51.
No, he didn't receive it yet.
Oh, I have to guess what age. I'll think he'll just does everybody know what age?
I'm going to tell you. He's 49 right now. Excuse me, 49. So yes, I know what age, and most people it's public information, but I don't know if
So there's like a planned date for them to get this.
Yes, because so he gets $1 million from Reebok every year.
Okay.
Every year he gets $1 million because Reebok knew he was going to blow all his money. So everything, instead of giving him it all at once years ago when he was the Sixers legend, they set up a trust fund for him so he can get a bunch of money because they knew he was going to have financial issues in the future. Wow. Do you know at what age that will be?
64.
No. You're off by about 9. It will be 55. Okay. So he's got 6 years until he becomes multimillionaire once again. Just so you know, that was a hard one.
Interesting.
That was a hard one, but I do find it interesting.
Quite fascinating. I never heard something like that.
Really? I thought we talked about this before.
A sneaker company giving a trust fund beyond me.
I mean, sometimes we talk about sports, and so it does go out.
They give me a trust fund?
I believe it was 2 years ago when Baker Mayfield was traded to the Carolina Panthers. I said, "Oh, Sophia, we're picking up fruit. We're at the farm. Oh, Sophia, Baker Mayfield was just traded to the Panthers," and she was like, "Oh, that's so cool. That would be me if I cared." I was like, "All right, thanks so much." And I must say that we're very close. We just don't like the same things. We do not have the same hobbies. So that's why I thought, what better of a person to come on here and test some sports knowledge. All right, let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. As you know, I'm assuming, Bryce Harper is on the Philadelphia Phillies.
I know him.
You know him. All right. Playing first base right now for the Phillies. What team did he play for before signing with the Philadelphia Phillies?
In the MLB?
In the MLB.
He played for another team.
He did play for another team for years.
The Giants.
No.
The Cubs.
No. One more guess. East Coast team.
The Nationals.
There you go. I'm happy for you. That's good. All right. One more. Now, I had mentioned earlier you go to Penn State, so I wanted to throw this question in there because I'm not going to give you a hint, but I am going to be very disappointed if you don't get this.
Okay. Prepare to be disappointed.
I think I just blew it, but what college football team was Trace McSorley the quarterback of?
Penn State.
Yeah, I blew it. I actually messed it up. because I said Penn State. But don't you remember 2 months ago?
When I didn't know who Trace McSorley
Yes.
was, I do.
There's a song about Trace McSorley. It was a remix. It was on TikTok. It was everywhere. I may or may not have listened to it once a day for at least a month. It's really catchy, I must say. But when I had gone to Penn State to visit Sophia, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm going to play the Trace McSorley song while we're at Penn State. And she was like, who is that? Mispronounced his name, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, a legend. Yeah. A Penn State legend.
It was mispronounced. I apologize, Miss McSorley.
Totally fine. It's all right. Because you've listened to the song now.
Yes.
It's a good one, right?
Just smile and wave.
Smile and wave, boys. All right, she wasn't into it. But I'll admit, I blew that question. But for the last segment of the show, I got one more for you, Sophia. I'm really excited for this one. We're going to do artist or athlete. So we have not done this on the show just yet. But this is a segment that I've been waiting for. I'm really excited for. So today, she is going to decide, did an artist say this or did an athlete quote this? So the two artists and athletes that we're having today are one each. Jalen Hurts. What team? You know.
The Eagles.
There you go. Quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're unfamiliar with Jalen Hurts, he is very great at saying some of the most amazing quotes, but also some of the strangest ones where you could be really down bad if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's like, we just got to keep going, guys. We just got to pull it together. We got to stay positive. He has a little bit of Yogi Berra, like the Yogi-isms, that he just says things that you're like, where did this guy come up with this? And Philadelphia music legend, Meek Mill. So I'm going to be testing your knowledge on who said what.
I'm ready.
All right. Number one, on artist or athlete, who said, keep the main thing the main thing? Was it Jalen Hurts or was it Meek Mill in one of his songs?
Keep the main thing the main thing. That's pretty straightforward. I'm locking in my answer, and because you said he says some pretty strange things, I'm going to have to say this is Jalen Hurts.
You were right. I think I'm giving too much away. I'm talking too much. I gotta just mellow it out. But that was good. Yes, he said keep the main thing, February 23rd of 2023, when he went to follow up and say, it's just the Philly thing. We just got to focus. The Philadelphia Eagles have a whole website about some of the quotes, the top 10 quotes of Jalen Hurts so far in his Philadelphia Eagles career. So Jalen Hurts was the man who said, keep the main thing the main thing. All right, coming in at number 2. Is it Jalen Hurts or Meek Mill? I had to grind like that to shine like this.
Oh, that's Meek Mill.
What song? You know it.
I know the song because the football players in high school always play it in the locker room, and it's like, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what it's called.
Dreams and Nightmares.
Yes.
You're right. Yes, it's Dreams and Nightmares. So a very popular Philadelphia song. I thought I'd give you that one. I was like, she's going to get this one. Yes. She's going to get this one.
I do recognize that.
All right. This is round number 3, we'll call it. Is it Meek Mill or Jalen Hurts? We had a plan, but I guess it ain't work.
That would be Meek Mill.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going to get fooled by that one, but it is. It was Meek Mill and Who You Are Around featuring Mary J. Blige.
I can just hear that line in a song.
You can hear him saying
very
it.
Song line.
It's a good song. Good song. All right. Round number 4. Meek Mill or Jalen Hurts? I had a purpose before everyone had an opinion. It's not about anybody else.
Okay. I'm going to say Jalen Hurts.
Wait, you are 4 for 4 right now.
See that happen? That is such a conference room, all the microphones in front of you type of saying after a tough loss or something.
Yep. So it was to his critics last year. He was talking about the critics, and that's what he said, that it doesn't matter. I had a purpose for anyone had an opinion. Everyone went crazy about it. They're like, he just dropped the coldest line in this press conference. And he even said it himself after the media kind of went, oh, okay. And he said, I know you all like that one. So he really admitted it, that he'd been sitting on that for a little bit and was excited to use it. So yes, so round 1, Jalen Hurts, keep the main thing the main thing. I had to grind like that to shine like this. Meek Mill, we had a plan, but I guess it ain't work. Meek Mill, I had a purpose for everyone had an opinion. It's not about anybody else. Jalen Hurts. Let's go on to round 5. We got a few more of these. Just trying to be a coffee bean. Who said it?
Just trying to be a coffee.
Yep.
Meek Mill.
Wrong. So it was Jalen Hurts.
Why in the world does a quarterback
Listen.
want to be a
So
coffee bean?
not only has Jalen Hurts said this once, he said it twice when he was at Oklahoma.
Just trying to be a coffee bean?
Just trying to be a coffee bean. So this is what, according to the Philadelphia Eagles website, his whole quote was, "You've got the carrot and the egg. You put an egg in boiling water, it hardens up. It doesn't affect anything. The carrot softens up. The coffee bean spreads and gets stronger and impacts the people around you." That's true.
So you should have put the whole quote, because then I would have really known
that
wasn't a Meek Mill song.
That was way too long. That's why I had to pick "Just Try to Be a Coffee Bean." So he said that after all the craziness of Carson Wentz getting benched and him coming in as a starting quarterback and everyone being like, "Oh, how is this going to go? Is Jalen Hurts that guy? What about Carson Wentz?" And that's when he said, "Look, I'm just trying to be a coffee bean. I'm just trying to get stronger and have an impact on the people who are around me." Which is what I think he might have done so far after so many people. Right.
I kind of like it.
You open it up. I think I'm going to start using
Just
that.
trying to be a coffee bean.
How you doing? I'm just trying to be a coffee bean.
How's your day going? Just trying to be a coffee bean. You know how it goes.
Yeah, just another day trying to be a coffee bean. Can't hurt. Rise and shine.
Change the world.
Rise and shine. Time to be a coffee bean.
How you can do that, huh? Coffee bean. Trying to change the world.
All right. Number 6. So why are you hating on me? I'm just living my life.
Meek Mill.
Yeah, you're right. So he said that in Young and Getting It. Why are you hating on me? Huh? I'm just living my life. All right, last one. Number 7. I think you've gotten just one wrong. Mm-hmm. So you're
just trying to be a coffee.
Just trying to be a coffee bean. That threw you a little bit. Definitely. So you're 5 and 1 right now. See if you can make up for that coffee bean one. Growing every day, attacking every day, trying to get better every day.
Okay, this is a tough one because this is totally, I could see a rapper singing this, throwing it out there, but this also is has like quarterback leading the team, people coming at him. Can I get a repeat of the quote? Is that allowed? Yep.
Growing every day, attacking every day, trying to get better every day. Meek Mill or Jalen Hurts?
I'm going to say Meek Mill.
Wrong.
I didn't think a quarterback would say attacking every day. I don't know. That's what was getting me.
That's really funny. Yeah, so he said this, and he's apparently also said this one multiple times too, and that's when he's talking about the consistency. When people are asking him, how are you going to stay consistent for your team? Growing every day, attacking every day, trying to get better every day. That's one of Meek Mill's like, hey, I'm asking you a serious question. Some things are wrong with this team, and that's how he responds. Like, oh, hey, what are you going to do with the team? And what about the wide receivers or the running back? If you don't have a run game? And that's pretty much a Jalen Hurts type of thing. Like, yeah, I'm just growing every day, attacking every day, just trying to get better every day. Thanks, see you later. Like, that's my quote for the day. That's Jalen Hurts type deal. Well, thanks, Sophia. I think that was fun.
I said this to you as a joke on the beach and said, please have me on your show, not realizing you would take me up on that offer, but I'm glad to be here.
She did very much say this to me as a joke on the beach, and at first I shook my head and said, yeah, no way is that happening, but have fun, thanks. And then I started thinking about this, and I said, well, this could be really fun, because I could test you on your trivia knowledge to really give them an idea that, hey, we're not lying. And then I've been wanting to do the artist or athlete with someone, and you were just the perfect person with it, because I was able just to really soften the blow, just go in there and be like, okay, we know each other. You're able to come in there. Who's the artist? Who's the athlete? She also doesn't listen to rap music, so she knew Meek Mill. She knows Meek Mill. She knows Dreams and Nightmares. That's about it. But I couldn't do Taylor Swift. I was like, okay, she was from Pennsylvania, but she knows enough Taylor Swift songs that was not getting past her. And I just think Meek Mill being from Philly, Jalen Hurts being the Philly guy right now, leading the Philadelphia Eagles. What two better people to be coffee beans and grow together and grind like this and shine like that, and then have Sophia come in and try to decipher which one is which. So thanks, Sophia. I really appreciate you coming on. Well, that's all I have for you today on the Beachside Blitz. I am Patricia Caputo. Thank you so much for joining in on another episode of the Beachside Blitz, where we surf the wave of sports on Cape May Radio, WCFA 101.5 FM, the station for the Center for Community Arts, Cape May. See you next week.